You hide behind false virtues, believing loyalty and kindness protect you. Every inch of your weakness is visible. Others are eating, climbing, surviving while you stagnate in shame. You are not powerful. Stop pretending. Every decision you believe is strategic is likely a reaction. Every influence you think you have is borrowed from others' attention. And every loyalty you cherish is quietly eroding your autonomy. This chapter exists to rip that illusion from your mind. It forces a lens shift so cold and surgical that complacency will feel like a fever and denial will feel like poison. Most men live under a mirage of control. They measure themselves in titles, possessions or followers, surface, indicators of strength that mean nothing when confronted with real competition. You think you are climbing, but you are walking in circles, watched by those who understand the game you pretend to know. The first step to real power is admitting that your mirror lies to you. Your reflection is soft, naive, and weak. The predator does not respect kindness, patience, or loyalty. They exploit it. Your position in the hierarchy is likely lower than you think. Observe your surroundings, who bends to you willingly, and who tolerates you only because they must. Influence is not given. It is extracted, seized through action and perception. Those above you, the true players, see everything. They have mapped your habits, tested your patience, calculated your fear. Meanwhile, you cling to morality and rules that exist to keep you compliant, convinced that your integrity will shield you. Integrity is not armor, it is a leash. This is the cognitive fracture, the realization that your internal narrative, who you believe yourself to be, is a weakness. It will die before your enemies strike because they do not wait. They sharpen their advantage while you practice self-deception. Accepting this truth is not comfortable. It is an assault on identity, but it is necessary. Without it, you cannot move. Without it, you remain prey. The mirror must shatter, leaving only raw perception of reality. Power does not reward the virtuous. Power rewards the observant, the patient predator. By refusing to see your own deficiency, you surrender control over the one thing that matters, your choices. This chapter forces the first brutal step. You must see yourself as others already see you. Weak, predictable, replaceable, only. When you internalize that truth, can you begin to recalibrate towards sovereignty. Finally, understand that this lens shift is not temporary, it is a surgical realignment. The old self, the one who believed in fairness, who tolerated betrayal as a moral lesson, is dead the moment you recognize your illusion. In its place, you begin the slow, deliberate construction of a self capable of climbing, surviving and commanding. No sentiment, no excuses, no moral padding, just the cold, precise assessment of where you truly stand and where you must rise. This is not comfort, it is a warning. Those who ignore it die quietly, outmaneuvered by the ruthless. Few who already understand that power is a hierarchy built on survival, extraction, and the relentless calibration of self against others. The mirror is shattered. Now you see clearly. Power is not a gift. It is an engine, a machine running on observation, calculation, and extraction. Those who wield it effectively do not wait for opportunity, they manufacture it. This chapter exposes the psychological architecture behind true dominance, revealing why some rise while others remain expendable. By the end, you will understand that influence is not won through virtue or loyalty. It is seized, maintained, and weaponized. At the core of ascendancy is a brutal principle: control perception before action. Humans are predictable. Emotions, desires, and fears are data points. Every conversation, every hesitation, every loyalty you mistakenly value can be red-mapped and exploited. The apex predator does not act first, they position first. They bend the environment, subtly manipulate choices, and ensure that when conflict arises, the outcome is already decided. You are likely doing the opposite, reacting to stimuli, conceding initiative, and hoping morality shields you. It does not. Another critical mechanism is leverage. Every interaction is an exchange of energy. Words favors alliances. Silence all carry weight. To ascend, you must identify leverage in every direction. What others need, fear or desire, then use it surgically. The naive give their power away freely, the observant extract it without hesitation. Dominance is an economy, and every weakness in your surroundings is currency. Those who hoard it, who recognize the value of control, rise to tiers most will never see. Timing is inseparable from mechanism. The difference between a predator and prey is patience married to precision. The strongest do not rush, they observe, they measure, and they act when the cost-benefit is absolute. Impulsive action is a signal of weakness, a beacon that others exploit. If you continue to operate with instinct alone, you remain vulnerable. Ascendancy demands calculation, cold, ruthless, unsentimental. Perhaps the most insidious component is psychological warfare. True power operates beneath the surface, bending beliefs and perceptions before engaging the body. The mind can be conquered without a word if your presence, actions, and choices impose inevitability. Those unaware of this principle mistake compliance for respect, agreement for influence, and fear for loyalty. By mastering this mechanism, you control outcomes before anyone realizes they are in play. Finally, understand that ascendancy is iterative. No single move secures dominance permanently. The hierarchy is fluid, constantly challenged by ambition, resentment, and decay. Those who survive do so by maintaining vigilance, exploiting opportunities, and reinforcing leverage continually. Complacency is death, hesitation is annihilation. By internalizing this mechanism, you begin to operate not as a participant, but as a selector, a predator navigating a landscape of rivals, allies, and pawns. This chapter is a surgical lens into the engine of power itself. It strips away illusions of merit, luck, and fairness. Only those who comprehend it, embrace it, and execute it without moral hesitation can rise. The rest remain predictable, expendable, and invisible, forever wondering why others surpassed them while they clung to outdated codes of conduct. The world is not fair. It never has been. Above the surface of society, invisible hierarchies dictate survival. Predators walk among the compliant, the loyal, and the weak, often unnoticed until it's too late. This chapter maps the archetypes of dominance so you can recognize who rules, who obeys, and where you secretly stand. Understanding them is not optional, it is survival. First, there is the strategist. They calculate everything: timing, resources, perception, and human behavior. Their moves are rarely visible until they strike, and when they do, it appears as inevitability. The strategist is not admired. They are feared, respected only by those who can perceive their patterns. You cannot confront a strategist openly. You can only learn to anticipate, adapt, and survive their subtle manipulations. Most men mistake their patience for passivity. Do not. Patience is a weapon. Next is the manipulator. Their power is relational and psychological. They exploit loyalties, desires, and fears to bend others toward their will. Charm, promises, guilt, and obligation are tools, not traits. You might have admired someone like this in the past, thinking they were friendly or trustworthy. The manipulators' strength is invisibility. Their power accumulates quietly until the moment they have leverage to strike decisively. They know your identity better than you do. Then comes the enforcer. Physical presence, intimidation, and reputation define their sphere. They are not subtle, but they are brutally effective. Where strategy and manipulation bend minds, the enforcer bends outcomes with certainty. Violence, social leverage, or sheer audacity, they excel wherever rules are weak and action is decisive. Most men fear them and comply while secretly resenting them. Comprehending the enforcer archetype is vital because their influence often shields or directs the strategists and manipulators. There is also the connector, the invisible nexus of networks and information. Their power is rarely direct. They do not strike, but they control access, alliances, and intelligence, knowing who has influence over whom, who can sway what. and who is expendable allows them to orchestrate outcomes from the shadows. The connector is overlooked by those obsessed with obvious force, yet their reach is often wider than any weapon or plan. Finally, recognize the survivor. They are not the strongest, nor the most ruthless, but they endure. They adapt, observe, and exploit openings. Their power is situational and often underestimated. While strategists, manipulators, and enforcers may clash in pursuit of dominance, the survivor quietly navigates the chaos, seizing opportunity where others are blinded by ambition or ego. Often they outlast all, quietly ascending through patience and pragmatism. Now place yourself among these archetypes. Most men do not know. They fluctuate, pretending to belong to multiple classes while failing at all. Comprehension is the first step toward control. Without knowing who your predators are, you remain prey. Awareness allows you to navigate, exploit weaknesses, and position yourself strategically within the tiers of power. The lesson is harsh. People are not inherently good. Their roles in this hierarchy are fixed by skill, instinct, and ruthlessness. Recognition of archetypes is not moral judgment, it is tactical necessity. The naive mistake kindness for influence, loyalty for strength, and submission for peace. These are illusions. Predators will exploit them without hesitation. Only by mapping the landscape can you survive, adapt, and begin your climb. The world is a jungle, and these archetypes are the apex species. You must see clearly which category you inhabit now, and which you aspire to dominate or be consumed by. History is littered with the corpses of men who overestimated themselves, who clung to morality, loyalty, or comfort while others devoured their positions. This chapter dissects the anatomy of failure, exposing how predictable mistakes and human weaknesses allow predators to ascend and leave the complacent broken. You will witness that collapse is rarely sudden. It is a slow, inevitable erosion of power that begins the moment self-deception takes root. The first stage of collapse is complacency. Men assume their rank, influence, or reputation is permanent. They rely on past achievements as shields against future threats. In reality, hierarchy is fluid, and the world does not honor consistency or virtue. It rewards adaptability, cunning, and decisiveness. Every step you fail to calculate is an advantage handed to someone hungrier. While you rest on comfort, others study your weaknesses, sharpen their strategies, and position themselves above you. Next is misplaced trust. Loyalty and kindness are tools for the naive. Predators recognize them as vulnerabilities. A man who believes others will act honorably in his favor is blind to the subtle extractions that occur daily. Allies, colleagues, and subordinates will exploit any gap in vigilance. By the time betrayal becomes visible, the predator has already claimed leverage, ensuring your loss feels sudden but was meticulously orchestrated over time. The third factor is ego mismanagement. Overconfidence is a silent killer. Men inflate their capabilities, underestimate rivals, and ignore warning signs. They interpret minor setbacks as anomalies rather than systemic flaws. Pride blinds them to the hierarchy, to the fact that every action has consequences, and that human nature is unforgiving. Ego-driven decisions accelerate collapse, because they replace calculation with impulse, leaving the ambitious and patient free to exploit the chaos. Historical precedent provides a brutal clarity. Empires fell, generals were betrayed, and monarchs were dethroned, not because of external invasion alone, but because internal fractures went unseen. Caesar was warned, ignored, and assassinated. His own circle of loyal allies became instruments of power recalibration. The weak do not survive the inevitability of human self-interest. Their decay is a lesson written in blood and consequence. Modern examples follow the same pattern. Corporate titans, political leaders, and social influencers often collapse due to overconfidence, ignored manipulation, or blind reliance on loyalty. Their power was never secure. It was always borrowed from perception, and perception is fickle. Those who fail to monitor threats, anticipate exploitation, and adapt are quietly devoured, replaced by those ruthless enough to seize the gap. Finally, the anatomy of collapse is psychological. The realization of your own expendability comes too late for most. Anxiety, paranoia, and self-pity emerge only after leverage has been lost. True predators do not create fear. They extract weakness and make inevitability obvious, ensuring that when the fall occurs, the victim believes it was sudden, unavoidable, and inscrutable. But collapse is never magic. It is a systematic consequence of failing to respect the laws of power. This chapter exists to brutalize your assumptions. You are not immune. Every comfort you cling to, every loyalty you overvalue, every ego you inflate is a fracture waiting to widen. By studying the anatomy of collapse, you internalize inevitability. Survival requires ruthless awareness, adaptation, and anticipation. Hesitation is death. Ignorance is annihilation. Human nature will exploit you without pause. Your only defense is understanding the mechanics before it is too late. Survival alone is not power. Dominance is reserved for those who move deliberately, extract leverage, and impose inevitability. This chapter arms you with surgical strategies to ascend tiers, survive predators, and assert sovereignty where others hesitate. By the end, indecision will feel like a liability, and calculated ruthlessness will feel like the only viable path forward. The first principle is calculated positioning. Every move you make must serve long-term dominance, not temporary validation. Observe your surroundings, map hierarchies, and identify weak points. Allies are tools, rivals are obstacles, and every interaction carries the potential to elevate or destroy. Do not act impulsively. Wait, measure, and strike when the margin of advantage is absolute. Acting without control is submission disguised as initiative. Next is selective aggression. Power is rarely taken passively. It is seized. But aggression must be surgical, not blind. Every challenge must weaken your opponent while strengthening your position. Timing is critical. Strike too early, and you expose yourself. Strike too late, and the opportunity is lost. The true sovereign understands the balance between threat and patience. A well-placed strike creates inevitability, forcing others to react on your terms rather than theirs. Leverage cultivation is the third pillar. Information, favors, secrets, and alliances are currency in this landscape. Identify what others desire, fear, or depend upon, and use it without hesitation. Every weakness you uncover is potential control. The naive trade leverage freely. The sovereign accumulates, deploys, and destroys strategically. Remember, subtlety is power. Brute force alone convinces only the weak. True dominance is invisible until execution. Then comes ruthless pruning. Loyalty, sentiment, and habit are liabilities. The apex manipulates them to their advantage, discarding relationships, comforts, and identities that no longer serve ascension. Indecision in pruning allows stagnation. Hesitation ensures that predators exploit your attachments. Remove what weakens you, consolidate what strengthens you, and operate with surgical precision. Nothing is sacred, nothing is permanent. Your survival depends on the ruthless allocation of attention, energy, and influence. Finally, self-reinvention ensures sustainability. Climbing the tiers demands that you shed weaknesses continuously, adapt tactics to shifting hierarchies, and cultivate unpredictability. The world punishes rigidity. It rewards fluidity, perception, and decisive action. Observation alone is not enough. You must evolve, project authority, and execute consistently. Sovereignty is an ongoing performance, a war of perception and reality where complacency is fatal. These strategies are not moral, they are arithmetic. They do not appeal to conscience, loyalty, or comfort. They appeal to survival, efficiency, and dominance. Master them, and you navigate the hierarchy on your terms. Fail them, and you remain prey, visible to predators and invisible in ambition. The lesson is simple. In a world ruled by ruthless hierarchies, hesitation, naivety, and sentiment are lethal. The sovereign calculates, extracts, prunes, and evolves. Your only choice is to adopt these mechanisms with precision, or watch as others do so while you remain expendable. Your current identity is a liability. The man you are today, obedient, moralistic, loyal, is not equipped for survival. In this chapter, the old self must die. Every comforting belief, every moral attachment, every hesitation rooted in sentiment is surgically excised. Only then can a new, apex identity rise from the ashes, one calibrated for dominance, ruthlessness, and inevitability. The first act of death is eradication of illusion. You have operated under lies, that loyalty is strength, that kindness commands respect, that virtue protects you. These beliefs are poison. Others do not reward morality, they exploit it. Your reflection, once comforting, must now become a map of weaknesses. The moment you stop fearing the collapse of your old self is the moment you gain clarity. The false self dies in recognition of its own inadequacy. Next is detachment from attachment. Sentiment, obligation, and nostalgia anchor men to mediocrity. Every friendship, every tie, every habit that fails to serve ascension becomes a chain. The apex predator discards without hesitation, leaving only relationships, tools, and strategies that enhance survival and control. Attachment is not love. It is leverage for others. To ascend, you must prune relentlessly, allowing nothing to tether your will. Then comes reconstruction through ruthlessness. Power is not inherited, it is forged. The new identity is a machine of observation, extraction, and action. Every decision is weighed, every move calculated, every interaction weaponized. You no longer react emotionally, you act strategically. Weakness is not tolerated, hesitation is annihilated. Your presence becomes a signal, inevitability. Others bend, flinch, or yield not because you ask, but because you have reshaped yourself into a force that cannot be ignored. Self-perception recalibration follows. The man you were saw hierarchy as external, a set of rules, rankings, or barriers. The apex sees hierarchy as malleable, subject to strategy, manipulation, and timing. You are no longer a participant begging for survival. You are a selector, an executor, a predator navigating a world of prey and competitors. Identity is no longer a story. It is an instrument, honed and ready for deployment. Finally, embrace psychological inevitability. The death of the false self is not temporary, it is permanent. Hesitation will be dissected, weakness eliminated, and perception manipulated automatically without pause. The new identity carries the precision of a surgeon and the relentlessness of a predator. Human nature no longer intimidates you, it serves you. Complacency, morality, and naivety are extinct. Only power, strategy, and sovereignty remain. This chapter leaves no comfort. There is no turning back. The man you were is gone, leaving a sharper, faster, more ruthless version capable of navigating hierarchies that once crushed you. Survival is no longer hope. It is a calculated, inevitable outcome of identity remade. Death is final. So too is the birth of dominance. The hierarchy does not pause. It does not negotiate. While you hesitate, others sharpen, strike, and ascend. This is the final reckoning. A choice between becoming irrelevant prey or ruthless sovereign. Comfort, loyalty, morality. These are luxuries reserved for the expendable. This chapter is not guidance. It is a verdict. First, understand the inevitability of selection. Every interaction, every hierarchy, every arena you occupy is a battlefield. Predators assess, exploit, and eliminate those who fail to act. The weak cling to illusion and wonder why others surpass them. The strong do not wonder, they calculate. Survival demands you adopt the mindset of inevitability. Your actions must dictate outcomes. Your presence must command consequence, and your strategies must leave no margin for error. Next is the cost of inaction. Hesitation is lethal. Sentiment is fatal. Each moment spent clinging to old identities, moral codes, or false loyalties is a moment ceded to rivals. Complacency is a trap disguised as stability. While you debate ethics or loyalty, others exploit, rise, and replace you. The arithmetic is simple. Delay equals decay. Hesitation equals annihilation. You either dominate or you vanish. There is no middle ground. Then comes the mandate of ruthlessness. Survival and ascent demand precision in every decision. Sacrifices are not moral failures. They are tools. Betrayals, strategic aggression, and calculated manipulation are necessary instruments in the creation of sovereignty. Power is not benevolent. It is apolitical, mechanical, and unforgiving. You must act with a clarity that leaves no room for weakness to fester, no margin for mistakes, no comfort in false morality. The apex standard is projection and perception. Your identity must be unassailable. Weakness invites extraction, hesitation invites replacement, and moral compromise invites annihilation. Command your environment as the predator commands the territory, with inevitability, with presence, with the precision of an entity beyond sentiment. Others will react, adjust, and flinch, but only if you have already ensured your supremacy is unavoidable. Finally, the ultimatum: ascend or decay. The world is indifferent. It does not wait for your preparation, nor does it forgive ignorance. Those who refuse to internalize the principles of hierarchy, leverage, and ruthless self-reconstruction are quietly erased. Those who embrace them dominate, extract, and survive, shaping the world according to their own design. There is no comfort, no guidance, no legacy for the weak, only consequences. This is the final warning. No excuses remain, no illusions persist. Every hesitation, every moral compromise, every loyalty to weakness is a liability. You either stand as a sovereign, as a predator calibrated for survival and dominance, or you are replaced, forgotten, and consumed. The hierarchy is absolute. The law of power is absolute. Rise now or accept irrelevance. The choice is final.